It was just another ordinary day at Crestwood Academy, or so I thought. The sun was shining, the kids were chatting, and the smell of spaghetti with garlic bread wafted through the cafeteria. But something was about to happen that would change everything, and it all started with a simple pink lunchbox. I was doing my usual rounds, checking in with the kids, making sure everything was running smoothly, when I noticed her. Emily Barnes, small for her age, shy, always on the edge of things, clutching her lunchbox like it was the most precious thing in the world. Now, I've been around kids long enough to know that sometimes things aren't as they seem. And there was something about Emily that didn't sit right with me. She wasn't eating, just staring at that lunchbox, like there was something inside it she was keeping to herself. I didn't think much of it at first after all. Kids can be moody, especially when they're dealing with stress at home. But then, Bishop, my canine partner, did something that immediately caught my attention. He stopped dead in his tracks. His body went rigid. His ears perked up, and I could see the shift in HEMA shift that said this was no ordinary sniffing session. Something was wrong. Now, Bishop's not just any dog. He's a German Shepherd, 6 years old, trained to be precise, thorough, and methodical. He doesn't act like this unless there's something to investigate. And the way he was staring at Emily's lunchbox, growling low and steady, it wasn't a typical reaction. It was an alert. Something was inside that lunchbox, and Bishop wasn't going to ignore it. He'd never let me down, and I knew I had to trust him. I walked over to Emily's table, trying not to alarm her too much. But she caught my gaze and immediately gave a forced, awkward smile before quickly looking down at her lunchbox, pulling it a little closer to her chest. That moment told me everything I needed to know. Something wasn't right. "Hey, Emily," I said, trying to keep my voice calm and non-threatening. "What's going on? You not hungry today?" "I'm fine," she stammered, shifting in her seat. I couldn't push her too hard, but I could see the nervous energy radiating off her. And then, without thinking much about it, I gave Bishop the signal to continue on our patrol. But he wasn't Haviing it. He kept looking back at Emily's lunchbox. He was laser-focused. The dog wasn't going to let this go, and neither was I. I filed it away in my mind. Could it be just an overreaction? Maybe. But when Bishop's instincts go off, they're rarely wrong. So, I added a little note to my report about a slight, unusual interest in a student's lunch area. Maybe it would be nothing, but I had to be thorough. The next morning, I showed up early for our usual shift, and something in the air was different. The school was still quiet, peaceful, almost too peaceful. Bishop was on high alert again, scanning every room, every hallway, and I could feel the tension between us. It wasn't just me. Bishop was sensing something, too. That's when I saw Emily again, her posture fidgety, her eyes darting around the hallway nervously. She was carrying that pink lunchbox, clutching it so tightly against her side like it held the world inside. Her unease was palpable, and that's when Bishop did it again, stopped in his tracks, eyes locked on her, growling softly. I knew this wasn't just some coincidence. There was something in that lunchbox. I had to find out what it was. As we made our way to Emily's cubby to do a routine check, Bishop made a beeline for her locker. He sat in front of it, not moving, tail stiff, ears forward, signaling that he'd found something significant. My heart skipped a beat. I crouched down, glancing around quickly, but I knew this was no false alarm. I opened her cubby door, and sure enough, there it was. The lunchbox was sitting there, exactly where Bishop had locked onto. My pulse raced, but I had to stay calm. Whatever was inside, it was important. Lunchtime arrived, and I was now feeling that old familiar sense of dread creeping in. I walked over to Emily's table, where she was nervously picking at her food. I sat across from her, giving her a reassuring smile. Bishop was sitting beside me, but his focus was unwavering, locked on that lunchbox. "Hey, Emily," I said softly. "How's your day so far?" "Okay," she muttered, barely looking up. I glanced at her lunchbox. It looked normal enough from the outside: peanut butter and jelly sandwich, juice box, apple slices. But I knew better than to take things at face value. "Can I take a quick look at your lunchbox?" I asked, trying to sound as non-threatening as possible. "Bishop's been extra curious today." She hesitated, eyes shifting nervously. But, after a long pause, she slowly handed it over to me. My hands were steady as I opened the box, checking every corner, every item inside. The sandwich, the apple slices, the juice box, all perfectly fine. But then my eyes caught something small and out of place. A small silver object wrapped in black electrical tape. My breath caught in my throat. I immediately snapped the lunchbox closed, but I could feel my heart pounding. Bishop's growl deepened, as though confirming what my mind was already telling me. This was bad. I quickly reassured Emily, telling her everything was fine, even though I knew better. I had to be careful. This could be something dangerous. I couldn't let the others know what I'd found just yet. I needed to act quickly. I took the lunchbox away with me, discreetly headed for the nearest office, and called the FBI. The seriousness of the situation hit me like a freight train as I made the call. The information I was looking at was classified, dangerous. Someone was using a child Demi-Lido move highly sensitive information without her even knowing it. As I called for backup, I reviewed the footage from the security cameras. I saw a man unfamiliar to me walking confidently into the school early that morning, carrying a bag. He was the one who had placed that lunchbox in Emily's cubby. My gut churned. I knew something was off. Later, it came to light that this man, Uncle Mike, was no relative. In fact, he wasn't even a teacher. He was part of a sophisticated spy ring using kids like Emily as couriers. And, sure enough, when we opened the USB inside the lunchbox, it contained stolen, classified military data. The operation had been massive, targeting families with security clearances, using their kids as the perfect cover. And the reason no one had suspected a thing? No one would ever think to look inside a child's lunchbox. It was the perfect crime. Thanks to Bishop's impeccable instincts, we were able to stop it before it spiraled further. Emily's father was found, and the network was dismantled. I stood there in disbelief as I looked at Bishop, his tail gently wagging as he watched Emily, now safe, finally begin to eat her lunch. In that moment, I realized how much we depended on these dogs. Sometimes, it's not just about their training. It's about trusting their instincts, believing in their ability to sense what humans can't. "Good boy, Bishop," I whispered, scratching behind his ears. And in that moment, everything felt right. Not because we had saved the day, but because we had stopped something much worse from happening. So, here's the thing. How many times have we missed the signs because we were too busy looking in the wrong places? How many kids are out there, carrying secrets they don't even know about? And how can we protect them before it's too late? This story reminds us that sometimes the biggest threats come in the smallest, most innocent packages, and sometimes the best protection doesn't come in the form of a badge or a weapon, but in the form of a four-legged partner who knows how to trust his instincts. What would you do if you found something strange in your child's belongings? How do we protect our children from being used by those who don't care about their safety? Let me know in the comments. If you believe in the power of these K9 heroes and want to hear more, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Every share brings us one step closer to keeping our kids safe. See you in the next story, because sometimes the most incredible heroes aren't wearing badges. They're wearing fur.